Any stories out of Maimonides?
Yes, I've heard many stories. Maimonides is taking in patients, hiding them from the family. No family member is allowed to go in to see what they're doing to the patient. Some of the patients have been allowed to have cell phones, and they've called out and they've said, I'm thirsty. I'm begging them to give me some water, and they don't want to give me water. They say there's a procedure coming, this, that. I'm being neglected. And they end up dying, and the body comes out. Or there is a doctor, Dr. Cameron Kyle Siddell, who's an emergency room doctor in the ER and in the ICU in Maimonides, who has produced a video, 2 videos. And in those 2 videos, Dr. Cameron Kyle Siddell explained that Maimonides is totally mistreating the people who are coming in. They're giving them ventilators. And one of the reasons why the hospitals prefer ventilators to hydroxy and preventive care is because there's something called medical codes for billing the government. If you bill the government for hydroxy or something simple like that, you get about $20. If you bill the government for a ventilator, an intubation, which is an operative procedure, you get $40, double the amount of money. So there's a financial incentive to process everybody into a ventilator as quickly as possible and make more money. That's one aspect. I'm not saying it's the only aspect. I'm not saying it's always true, but it's sitting there. It's a financial interest. But Dr. Cameron Siddell has said that the ventilators are not being used properly. After about 2 weeks of using the ventilators himself in the ICU in the emergency room where he's working, he made this video, he said, with Maimonides Nefesh, because I'm sure that they didn't like him at Maimonides for doing that. It was like telling tales out of school. He said, I noticed that the people who are coming in with coronavirus, they don't have a problem with pneumonia. They don't have a problem with weak lungs that have to be put under pressure, because you can set the ventilator machine for different programs. There's a program for pressuring the lungs for pneumonia, and there's another program for oxygenating the lungs and giving people oxygen. He says, really, I've noticed the patients who are coming in are choking to death. It's more like someone in an airplane at 30,000 feet, where all of a sudden the airplane loses air pressure. And, you know, they always show you when you go on an airplane that you have to put these masks on which have oxygen. And that's the only way you can survive under such a situation when the plane is depressurized.
Right.
He says these patients need oxygen. When we put pressure on their lungs, it's like putting too much pressure in a balloon. You burst the balloon. You're bursting the little globules in the lungs. You're actually destroying their lungs. We are physically destroying the lungs of our patients. That's why ventilators, as used today, are 50 to 70% killing the patient.
Well, the statistics that I read from the studies is 80% right now. It used to be, doctors also told me, between 40 and 50% will not survive. With corona, when the doctors are putting this on patients, 80% of them are guaranteed to die within 4 days.
Okay, so that's what Dr. Cameron Kylie Siddell said, because they're using it wrong. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, thank God, Mika Amka Yisrael, Hatzalah, and Shmira, and these wonderful Jewish organizations have organized, and they have bought oxygen machines at great cost, because we have Baruch Hashem Baalei Tzedakah who paid for it. And they are handing out oxygen machines to people who need it. I myself have gotten a little oxygen monitor, which I can put on my finger to see if I'm breathing properly, because I have this hydroxy right here ready to go for myself. My wife already took it. She went through hell for 2 weeks. And I'm ready to go if I see any problem with breathing. You know, the head of the Santander Bank, which is on 16th Avenue, the president of Santander Bank, he choked to death. I don't know why. They don't use hydroxy there in Portugal. I don't know what his problem was, but he choked to death from the coronavirus. So that's what happens. This Dr. Siddell is correct. It's a problem of choking to death from a lack of oxygen. That is what coronavirus does. And you have to be very careful. Any problem breathing, grab the hydroxy quickly, and within 3, 4 to 8 hours, I've heard again and again, people come back alive. They liven up. They get rescued. So Maimonides, the Klosenberger Rebbe said many years ago, in most hospitals, the Malach HaMovis is a visitor. In Maimonides, that is his headquarters. It's a terrible hospital, very business oriented, and I know under Pam Breyer, the former president of Maimonides, who I dealt with, she was very proud of the fact that she had turned the hospital away from being a Jewish hospital founded by Jews, and she had made it into an international hospital where only 25% of the people there are now Jewish, and they speak 65 languages. Very proud of her accomplishment to make the hospital into a place of diversity. So it's no longer a Jewish hospital, even though on the board of trustees they do have some Aguda people. I don't know what the Aguda people are doing exactly there and what they're accomplishing, but they're there, but they're only a small group. The head of the hospital is always a very secular Jew who doesn't live in the neighborhood, and the vice president is someone who lives in Manhattan there, a real estate man. So I'm familiar with the people. I've spoken in front of them at the board of trustees meetings. I know who they are. I've dealt with them. Some of the people do business with the hospital. They make a living. So they have not spoken up. The board of trustees has been silent as the grave. Haven't done a thing. So I'm very disappointed in our Haimish Askunim. They should be turning the world upside down, screaming and yelling, saving Jewish lives. I have to give credit to the Satmar Rebbe, Reb Zalman Leib, Teitelbaum, Ziongism, that he has established a hospital up in Queens. He took a yeshiva, his yeshiva, a mesivta, and turned it into an emergency hospital center. Baruch Hashem. And the same was done with Sir Arn Teitelbaum in Kiryas Yoel. He took a home for maternity home for women and turned it into a hospital because they need an alternate facility. They know that if they go to a regular hospital, it's a death sentence in many, many cases. Thank God, under President Trump, and he's putting pressure on the Governor Cuomo, some of the hospitals in New York have begun to change their protocol, especially Lenox Hill Hospital on the Upper East Side, now using the Zelenko protocol, hydroxy, zinc, Z-Pack, and they have added something else. If you do end up in a hospital, heaven forbid, they have found that if they give intravenous vitamin C, drip injection, which is 10 times stronger than taking it by mouth, 1,500 milligrams, 4 times a day, that's a tremendous dose. They save lives because they find that the coronavirus depletes your vitamin C very quickly from the body. And you get what's called scurvy. The sailors on the ships used to go away for months. They didn't have vitamin C. They died from something called scurvy. It destroys the body. Until they found out that they could eat limes, which have vitamin C. That's why in England they call it liming, because they eat a lot of limes when they go on the boat. So until they found out that vitamin C can kill, they died. So vitamin C is being used by Lenox Hill Hospital. Dr. Andrew Weber is one of the doctors who was interviewed in the New York Post. And thank God there are hospitals who are doing the right thing, what they're doing, and they're saving lives. But it's still a dangerous business to go to a hospital. Someone very close to me has the coronavirus, and he absolutely refuses to go to the hospital. He's scared to death that he's going to be killed there. And until now, they had a protocol in the hospital that if somebody faints and drops out, you should not revive him. Do not resuscitate. Today, I saw a news broadcast that they changed it, and they said, yes, you can now resuscitate for the very simple reason that they are now not as busy as they once were. The load on the hospitals is gradually declining. They have protective equipment and gear now coming in, and they feel that it's now safe for the nurses to be more involved and help the patients to live. So the hospitals are becoming a little safer than they were. It was totally the wild, wild west. Every man for himself for many, many weeks, and then we lost a lot of Yidden were lost never. Family, friends, fellow people in our minyanim and davening with us. It was a very, very bad situation. So right now, where we are right